This public meeting is now called to order. Public inquiries. 37 Ash Road, dock removal installation.
It appears that the property owner is not here, so I either speak on his behalf or we can move this to the end of the agenda for new business.
Is it any kind of a big deal?
Well, the commission will have to make a motion, so perhaps should be under new business since he's not here to address.
That's fine, whatever you want to do.
What the commission choose to.
Anybody have any thoughts on it?
Why don't we
what
wait
we're
and see?
talking about, so.
It's related to, it's a request to remove a existing permanent dock and replace with a floating one. He was inquiring if he would have to go through the process of filing for a permit. I told him that I'll be fine providing him an administrative approval with few conditions to make sure that there is no disturbance to the land and water. I have a picture to, do you want to discuss it now? I'll pass around.
Yeah.
Straightforward, that's his dock is now, the existing is a wooden dock.
I know what this is.
You know where it is there, with maybe 2 feet of, what do you call, what the dock sits on?
Like a, almost like a pylon.
Yeah, he's removing that all, now the water is down, so he's not gonna be going on the
It's
water.
frozen.
It's frozen.
Perfect
yeah.
time to do it.
Perfect time to do it, so it won't cause any disturbance.
You need a motion with the,
If the commission would allow for me to issue him administrative approval with few conditions to limit any type of disturbance on the water, I will need a motion for that,
I need a motion.
Motion for conditions?
to issue administrative approval with conditions. Yep.
And commission.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Approval of minutes.
Yep, January
Yep,
22nd, 2025, I need a motion to approve.
Need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes for January 22nd.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Issuance of permits.
I need a
Correct.
motion, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Prairie Meadow Lake.
I need a motion to issue the permit for DEP number 128, 1957. We closed this on a previous meeting. I just need the motion to issue the permit tonight.
I need a
To
motion.
issue the permit.
Second,
For Cranberry.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. $35 North Main Street.
We'll be continuing it to February 26th at 7 PM.
I need a motion to continue the hearing.
Motion to continue the hearing.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Lot 5 Harrington Road, I need a motion to continue the hearing.
Motion to continue the hearing.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. 0 and 0 Hill Road.
Yes, so who would like to start presenting? Oh, Hill Road, I'm sorry, we're gonna be continuing
I need a motion to continue the hearing.
Motion to continue
to
the hearing.
26 at 7.
You make a motion?
Hmm?
You make the motion?
Yep.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Lot 1 and Lot 2 Boucher Road.
I have Glenn who will be presenting the wetland part, and then I have Steve Brissett and the engineer that will be talking about the stormwater part of it. Go ahead, Glenn.
We filed under a clause to allow us to cross the wetlands with 2 driveways under a restrictive covenant and that's how we did Chris Scott's and also the Lot 7. So Mr. LeBoer, DEP, made this case when we were doing Chris Scott's that we could have individual driveways, but we would have to restrict the entire site, all the subdivision, to 5,000 square feet of wetland alteration. We are now just below the 5,000 with these 2 driveways. We did talk to the building inspector, and they were allowed as long as there's an easement on this on this lot. This is an easement to gain access to the lot in the back. Mr. Shi is in the, this driveway has to be 50 feet away. We crossed over here because on this lot, the wetland is wider. We did have a site inspection with Rose. This had been originally delineated by Ecotech up here. There was some question about their lower delineation, and they had this cutting off and as isolated, because there's a French drain in here, the farm originally put stone drain, but it's semi-functioning. So we did show Miss Rose Conley, right? Miss Rose that, and we have two replications for the two crossings, 3-to-1 side slope. It's required because there's more than 9 lots that they have stormwater. Meeker from DEP and Mr. Steve Brissett are both online to talk about the stormwater if there was any additional questions, but we do have basins that were designed.
Did
There
you
was-
cover the replication area? Sorry.
The replication area is shown right here on sheet 3 of sheet 3. It's my typical replication area detail where we're gonna take the full French drain out, so there's no more draining, even though it's still partially functioning. So it's just a stone with a cap and then stones underneath it, and it's partially filled in from the original field. And we'll take that out, and this side, the groundwater is still moving through the hill, so the wetland is on this side of the French drain, but on this side, it's all pines and oaks. And so once we remove it, we'll be doing the replication areas, which are here and here. And we'll follow 1055 4B 1 through 7, and all that means to you is the 1 through 7 is how you make a wetland, get to the hydrology. I have augured into the area, and we will have hydric soils within 1 foot of the final surface. We are covering it with 7-inch, there will be 7-foot spacing of the plants. That's what, there will be a sufficient 1 foot of topsoil. This will be excavated out. In fact, we just did the lot below this replication area where the house was just built. That's below Mr. Shee's. This is Mr. Shee's other driveway that we permitted through already. Then the next lot down, we did the replication for that, and that's the other one where we used some of that 5,000 square feet. The Chris Scott is the one above us, and we use a portion of the 5,000 there. So again, we're at the limit of 5,000. We cannot alter anymore. I believe there was some question about this. Rose did talk to DEP, and that is the reason why this is a restrictive covenant. It's recorded on all deeds. There can be not be any more on the whole property that was owned under this subdivision, these A&R lots. And so that's the project. Replication area, I'll oversee it. Planted with New England wetland plants, 1 foot of organic, hydric soils on the bottom. Stabilize the area. There'll be erosion controls. New England wetland plant mix will be the seed mix that goes on the bottom of sedges and rushes. And in fact, Chris Scott up above, we replicated up there also, and that was signed off by the board. I believe it was 23, and it's all growing. But that was a wet meadow. This was a shrub swamp down below. It started to grow shrubs, so we're planting a shrub swamp in this because it's in-kind replication. Whatever kind of wetland you lose, marsh or wet meadow or shrub swamp, which is shrub tree swamp, that's what you have to replicate, and that's what we're doing with this replication area. It's mostly in that areas of winterberry, red maple, arrowwood, silky dogwood, high bush blueberry. Those are the plants that we're gonna be replicating with, as that's what we're losing. And again, more, I don't believe you want me to keep going possibly, but originally this was, okay. But we were lucky that we talked to your building inspector because we didn't know that we could have 2 driveways on 1 lot as long as they're 50 feet apart. That's how we ended up squeezing that other driveway over and then using an easement. We appreciate the Topper Land Surveying for working on this project.
Do you have any questions on his part of it?
Wetlands, no.
Okay, and who's on the,
Steve is gonna be presenting the stormwater part. There are some waivers for our regulations and stormwater standards, so I just wanna give an overview to the commission before I make my recommendation.
okay.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I'm here as well. My name is Mika Lasla. I'm from Topper Land Survey. I'm the engineer that worked on this. If I can share my screen, that way we are all looking at.
Sure.
Are you able to see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just- So I couldn't, what Glenn was just kind of overviewing of the property. We have the wetland areas that we're crossing. We have the 100-foot buffer zone, the 50, the 25-foot. Board of Health soil testing has been done here. In the back is a tree line. Abutting to the north is another lot with on-site well and septic, and likewise to the south. Which kind of defines our development area to the top of the hill. Now, the proposal we have is the two driveways crossing. And given the site conditions that we have with the slopes over 15%, high water table at 2 feet in these areas of the septic system, in the proximity with the other infiltration, sewage disposal systems and wetlands, we're limited in our ability to infiltrate on the property. However, all the proposed paved areas, we have directed it into 3 sections of small detention areas which act as sediment forebays and detention areas to attenuate the runoff. So this first pond here is capturing a portion of the driveway here. This pond in the middle is catching the upper portion of the driveway, and just prior to the wetland area at the crossing, we have another stormwater area that we've graded the cross slope of the driveway towards these wetland areas. At the wetland crossing, we are proposing curbing along each side of the driveway to direct runoff so it doesn't sheet flow directly into the wetlands, that we're going to, adjacent to the replication area that we're going to be, Glenn's going to be supervising, we're going to have a stone dike. I'll zoom in a little bit so it's probably easier to see.
Are the driveways gonna be paved?
Yes. Yeah, we have paved driveway, so what we've done, we have a stone dike here, we have a stone dike here, and we also have a stone dike along the frontage here. And what we're proposing with, you can see with the grading, that this is going to sheet flow towards the forebay prior to going into the wetland area. Likewise, on the northerly lot, we have curbing here to direct the runoff into the forebay dike, curbing here to prevent runoff from going into the resource area, and then flowing the curbing, ending the curbing here with knowing where to end the curb to direct the runoff into the forebay. We've also, at the street line, we've got spot grades that we are basically making a low point here to allow sheet flow to occur at the driveway. So this driveway is going to flow towards the north. Along the edge of the disturbance of all the proposed, we have erosion control that we're proposing along, I'll go to the erosion control sheet. We're proposing erosion controls all along the total slope, and per the peer review that was done, they recommended extending to protect the abutting property. We've extended it on the southerly side. On the northerly side, that is up gradient from our proposed work, so we just proposed a construction fence, just a kind of warning fence, a kind of limit of work line for that. During the construction phase, we've identified areas where to provide temporary dewatering, positioning of stockpile materials, and hay bales and erosion control. All these detention structures have a small outlet control device that is releasing the water via a culvert to a stone rip-wrapped flared end section. So each of these detention ponds discharges via an outlet control to the flared end section. And prior to the outlet, again, with the water table, each bottom of basin has been set at existing grade. So we have a stone dike protecting to give filtration to, prior to the outlet structure. And each stormwater has an emergency overflow riprap, and we've positioned check dams also along periodically along the driveway because just the grades of the site.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, Michael, can you just touch on the waivers that you're requesting for our regulations, please?
Yes, I'll go to the requested waivers. Apologize, I'm just scanning through. We've requested a waiver. It's on our plan sheet, first sheet, note H-1, requesting to section 3.3 C2A3, which requires recharge in accordance with Mass stormwater policy. Additional recharge is not provided given the high groundwater conditions, hydrologic soil groups C and D, and the proximity to the wetlands and 15% slopes. We're also making a request to the section 3.3 C2A7, which requires the volume equivalent to 1 inch for post-construction to be achieved, to retain on site to get to the 90 and 60%. The BMP treatment trains from Mass DEP handbook, given the site conditions noted above, it's not feasible to provide the treatment trains to hit the targeted TSS removal. DEP's stormwater handbook and the checklist to the spreadsheets for calculating TSS assume that we are meeting the parameters of the handbook, the specifications identified in the stormwater volumes 1, 2, and 3. If those aren't being met, it's almost impossible to meet the requirements without going to extraordinary measures. And given the scale of this project being two residential homes, it's really cost prohibitive to implement some other techniques. Like, in particular, like a storm scepter, for instance, hydrodynamic separators, proprietary, providing rain gardens isn't a feasible aspect in that rain gardens, the bottoms of the rain gardens need to be 2 feet above water table. This is a plowed field with the A horizon being 12 inches deep and water table at 24 inches. So once that topsoil is removed, we have 1 foot of material, and we would need to fill in order to meet the groundwater offset, and placing infiltration structures is prohibited per Mass Stormwater DEP manual. So that's a quick summary of what we're requesting. And then we provided a letter stating that, and we also went into detail in the stormwater report explaining why we were asking for these waivers.
Steve, do you have anything to add?
Steve, you're muted, your mic. I think Steve's mic is muted.
Yeah. He might hear us.
Text Steve Brissette.
What do you want to say to Brissett?
Your mic is muted.
It says, yeah, mic is muted. Send it.
Does the commission have any questions so far?
No, one question I have is with the stormwater
Yep.
exemption, do we need to have our engineer review his
So it has been peer reviewed.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have returned all the responses for the peer review, and the ones that have not been, they all have been addressed. The only special condition that are gonna be made to this project is based on the peer review, which is soil testings. Usually are done, here's Steve. Steve,
Yes.
can you hear
Yes,
us?
I have no additional comment.
Oh, no additional comment, thank you. So, I'm requiring them to provide 1 additional soil testing once they are already breaking ground, just to do 1 soil testing near the basin where they're proposing to, the retention, basin where they're proposing to. That's per peer review.
Okay.
That's the only comment that was not, I mean, they have
If
been,
I-
yeah, go ahead, Steve. Oh, Mike,
If I may add,
yeah,
soil testing per the Stormwater Handbook, when you are proposing infiltration, you need to do soil testing.
Yep.
We're not proposing infiltration, we're asking for the waiver, so it's kind of a moot point to do that soil testing. And if you're looking at this plan, right here, water table's at 2 feet here on the top of the hill, and water's at 12 inches or less here. So in this span, from this 120-foot span, I highly doubt that the soils are gonna change, and the water table is gonna do a dip on that slope.
yeah,
And the slope is also too steep to do infiltration. This, right along this edge here, where the edge of the testing is, that's about 15%. That's the cutoff from where I can do infiltration.
I
So
am,
it's kind of a moot point to require it. I mean, we can certainly do a soil test, but
yep.
I don't think it's gonna change the outcome.
And I also might agree with you, we're just trying to keep the same protocol for every project. So, and again, I'm not requesting all the three, more than one. I just for, educational purpose as well, and just to put this to bed, that we know that exactly it's not going to work. So I think I came with an agreement with
Have
Steve.
equipment on site, and that's something that easily can be done.
Yep.
Other testing, and now the reviewer made a comment that it needs to be witnessed by town officials, and that's, again, per stormwater management, that's not required. Board of Health has witnessed testing that's out here and on the adjoining properties. So my question then to the commission is, would you, if you have a condition of soil testing, does that need to be scheduled and witnessed by your agent?
I am not sure if it's on my regulations, but I would like to be there, yes.
Yes.
The same I will be on the previous one that has been permitted for lot 6. And again, we would like to put this entire, on that, as you mentioned, all the soil tests have been conducted in the past for that entire subdivision. I think it would be an educational project for everybody, and I would like to be there to witness it, just to, again, answer any previous and future questions if we are to have additional applications coming in, because there are still vacant lots in the area.
Yeah, so you'd like us to do one somewhere in the middle here between these three, somewhere around that.
Somewhere near the driveway between the three proposed basins, correct?
That's something that is very reasonable.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Glenn?
It was just that to make sure that Mika did understand that you would be witnessing
Yes,
them.
yeah,
Yes, thank you again.
yeah,
Thank you, the
of
chair.
course.
Anybody in the audience and the board have any questions? Anybody in the audience have any questions? Are we continuing or closing?
Well, we have a process. So first, I'd like to have a motion to grant the 2 waivers of our stormwater regulations. So I need a motion to grant,
To grant the,
just a minute, I lost my
waivers.
paper. Yeah, one motion to grant a first waiver from our 3.3C2A3,
Motion made.
as stated.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
And I need
The ayes
a
have it.
motion to grant section 3.3C.2A7 from our stormwater rules and regulations, as stated, for TSS removal.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Now I need a motion
The
to
ayes have it.
close the public hearing and issue the order conditions.
Need a motion to close the hearing with an order of conditions.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
You were looking at me, huh?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for
Commissioner.
working with us. I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
you
All right, thank you.
Yeah, have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Old Worcester Road Extension.
Glenn?
I'll be back for that.
Who's this?
Try a 6-year-old kid, he'll tell you how to do it.
Thank you, when you're ready.
I believe we're all set.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Chris Scott, who does live above what we just discussed up on Boucher Road, did purchase this property, and there was a question, he wanted to make sure there was no wetlands on the property. So we went and augured, these are all augering holes showing that the soil is, just to make, a hue value chroma is how you describe colors. And 10YR, 10 yellow red, that's what the YR stands for. 444, value 4 chroma is a non-hydric soil color, it's a redder color. And a grayer color would be 10YR, say 42 or 41. And all that means to you is that when the water table sits up in the soil, it reduces the iron, carries it away, and leaves the soil more quartz color, which is your sands or grays and whites. And when the water table doesn't sit in the soil, it leaves your soils red or yellower as a function of iron and microbes. We won't get into it, but these are non-hydric soil colors. So we augured the whole site. Up here is even higher. It's oaks and birch and clicking aspen. And we had originally filed an RDA just to get an agreement that there was no wetlands on this property, but DEP did have comments to Ms. Rose. And so in order to have wetlands on the property, to ask a question whether it is wetlands here, we asked Mr. Burlingame Jr. if we could flag the wetlands on his property, which I originally did that wetland permit, maybe Tom was here, but back in like the late 80s. For that looming operation. So we went back and reflagged across the street that does give a buffer zone into our property. And then there was a question by DEP as to whether or not the discharge, which is right, this wetland flag is right at the reinforced concrete culvert. In '99, we ended up picking up the 1999 DOT road layout design. And because in order to answer the question whether or not there was that this discharge came onto the property. Discharge, actually through the mapping we did give you, it comes across the property and then discharges just down gradient of the fitness center, which was Bobby Salinas, and then it discharges actually on Greater Worcester Land Trust's property. I was the one that turned that site in for filling in wetlands years ago, and then apparently part of mitigation was to grant the land trust some property, because we didn't know how that was resolved by Phil Nato and DEP. So that's another story, but this goes across, and then as you're facing the fitness center to the east of Carroll Hill, it discharges down. There's a slight, I just left there just before I came here to take a second look. I sent in another exhibit today describing that DEP thought there was a depression right in here, and there is. It's about 10 by 6 by 10 feet by 10 by 6 feet by 10 inches deep. It's a slight depression, so when they were making that turnaround, this is the turnaround, it would be, where's Old Worcester Road? It would be this little, excuse me, Old Worcester Road. It would be this is even incorrect, this map. You can see, I don't know, we'll have to talk to our engineers, it actually looks like this to account for the turnaround. In the mapping I gave you, the aerial flyover, you can see the turnaround. So there was a land taking. Gunther was the property here, and Gunther was the property on Boucher. Roy Gunther, yeah, the family Gunther. And so that's, and there's a catch basin within that turnaround to go back east, but there is no wetland flow, or from that small depression, as I described in my letter today, was when they were grading for that turnaround, they left a small depression, but there's no outflow to it. And so there would have to be a pipe to another wetland, and that's what I expect. Even if it was a wetland, which it isn't, because we are getting in the middle of it, because it's the lowest point. This pipe right here is the invert is 5.6 feet lower than the elevation of our land. I had the surveyor shoot the elevation of the invert over there, just to show how much higher we are than that outflow point. And even if that small 10-foot diameter depression was a wetland, my son said, don't put that in the email. Well, I said, well, I'll talk about it then, and I'm wrapping it up. It's a small depression. that depression is, even if it was a wetland, which it isn't, it would be isolated because it doesn't flow anywhere. And under state law, 310 CMR 10, isolated vegetated wetlands are non-jurisdictional. In other words, they're not regulated.
located there, that depression is?
The depression would be, in fact, this monument, it's right at the edge of this monument. It's, if you take a look at the photo, it's right where these two roads come together, it's up in the corner. Again, I turned around, I stopped there, I went over to Snowbank, took a quick look at it, didn't have any good light to shoot a picture, because I wanted to show you, and then, of course, went down the street and turned around and came here. But I've already looked at it before, when we did all this augering, we wanted to make sure that there wasn't even a wetland there, but there'd have to be a flow out in order to be regulated. There's no outflow, so even if there's one speckled alder in the middle of it, and all that means to you is that's a wetland plant, but that plant will live in disturbed soils. It's 1/3 of the time it grows in upland, but the point is, it would have to have an outflow to be, it's not a wetland, but if it was, it would have to have an outflow in order to be bordering. Isolated vegetated wetlands are non-jurisdictional under the state law. So you've probably seen that before.
Yes, we have had many of them.
Yeah, many of them. I deal with them quite often. Oh, there was discussion today with Rose, and so I went back and wrote this letter. We didn't get a chance to look at it together. I did offer. I don't have, Chris isn't here because he broke his freaking ice climbing. Who cares? I says, you're gonna get here. He's ice climbing, he rappelled, his cleat stuck into the ice, his body twisted, and he snapped his, down here 2 places. So you gotta, so I was hoping you'd cry a little, I'm only kidding, and we just close this, but I don't mind continuing until the snow melts a little bit, and then we can look at it if that's what needed.
Again, I went to a site inspection with him, and at the time, we're just looking at the holes that he augured. And then DP Commons came, and since I have been back there, we got snow. Now we have a pile from the Route 20 of snow pile on it. I have not myself looked at that area specifically.
You want to continue it?
It's up to the commission, and if he's willing to that, I think it would be nice for me to at least have a visual, and then we close in the next meeting. But I'll be ready, as I say, to recommend, again, as he said, we would have to give him a positive determination because there is wetlands within the 100-foot buffer, even though it's not in the parcel. But I would also give him a 2A that will be conforming the boundaries. So if he is to do any disturbance, as long as he stays outside of the 100-foot buffer, he would not have to come back to this commission. But I just think would be just the right thing to do to go back there and look
Okay.
at the area.
Anybody on the board have any questions?
Anything else?
Anybody in the audience have any questions?
So
If not, I
we'll
need a
talk
motion to
again.
continue the hearing?
Motion to continue the hearing.
That's a public meeting though, the RDA, right? I don't believe.
It's a public meeting.
Yeah, you don't need continuous, but we'll be here. Well,
Okay.
that's
Well, I
fine,
would
yeah.
go-
You go the motion,
All right,
yeah. So the 26th, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the rain, we'll melt
With
it
the
down
rain
in an
tomorrow,
hour.
and I'll stop by whatever day that I know it's clear, even if it's a Friday, I'm always
Or I'll
driving by.
set, if
Yeah.
I get there before you, I'll
Yeah,
send something
call
over
me.
to you.
Yeah,
Okay,
it'll
thank
call
you.
me too.
you.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you very much.
certificate of compliance, 162 Sandersdale Road.
Just a second. I hope Chris feels better.
Stay away from the ice.
Can you imagine what a felling down in, body twist, that didn't come out, and it snapped, that's what he said. And his wife says, you're nearly 40, what are you still doing that for? I said, I'm 70, and I would. Hey, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's see. So this was associated with a septic repair. I did issue a letter back on January 27th after a site inspection. They were closing on the property, so I issued a letter of compliance, and now I would like to request a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance.
I need a motion.
Make a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. 27 Brindle Hill Road.
This is associated with the single-family home construction. Pete did the site inspection, everything has been stabilized. So I'll be recommending a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance.
I need a motion to issue.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. 23 Brindle Hill Road.
Again, a single-family home, Peter did the site inspection. For this one, there has been few deviations from the approved plan. I request a letter from the engineer to explain what the deviations were. It appears sorry, I'm just read the letter. I don't have the new letter, this is the old one. Just a second. Okay, I have one here.
You know, the
The
letter?
septic pump chamber was located down gradient from the septic tank to avoid freezing. This was requested by the Board of Health at the time of the construction. The limit work in this area was 8.4 feet from the isolated vegetated wetland, and the new disturbed area is 12 feet away. No work was done beyond the approved limit of work, so that was pretty much what the deviation was. I can pass along the as-built. So I usually request an as-built when it comes, that I can see it, the red marks that it was moved towards the resource area, so I requested the letter.
All right, to document why. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're okay? Conditional approval?
Yeah, some of the erosion controls have been, most of them have been removed. Some of them are frozen in place. So I'll be issuing the certificate of compliance, but making sure that they go back there once the soil is thawed, so they can remove it, if the commission don't have any concerns with that. So I need a motion for a complete certificate of compliance.
I need a motion.
Motion with certificate.
Second.
Compliance.
Second.
All in favor? All
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it. Bay Mountain Farm Contract Agreement Review Update.
We're still working on it, so we'll be discussing in the next meeting.
Okay. Sunset Drive Stormwater Complaint Update.
Yes, have you received,
Yep.
does anyone have any question?
One question, I know that's not why they were out there, I was just kinda curious. Peter and I were talking before. I know it's not, we're mostly focused on the runoff onto his Chambers property.
That was the complaint, yeah.
Yes, my only question is, he was also mentioned when he was here, and I know this is old school, when Saint Germain was here.
Yep.
Is there any, do we have any way of knowing if they filled into the lake?
Who?
This previous owner before Saint Germain, I know that was an
Yes,
article.
we know that he did fill.
And so do we have documentation that they pulled that out?
Yes.
Okay.
We have,
Not trying to give you a hard time, but knowing this
no.
guy for,
We-
any
we-
opening whatsoever is gonna get
Yeah, he
It's
has
fast.
filled, and I have responded. His neighbor inquired about it, and he did fill at the time. They worked with GP.
It was a while back.
It was a while back, yeah. I even contact GP for some updates, and at the end of it, it appears, I can actually,
Well, I
What
believe
about
you,
the,
yeah.
what about the filling that was done on the neighbors?
I am not aware
Property.
of any feeling on the neighbors. What, to who?
I thought the new owner filled onto the property of
Chambers?
the complaint, yeah, Chambers.
That has not been brought to my attention, did he? Who said that?
No, he was trying to
No,
say, I
he's
think,
saying
Tom,
a
that he was pushing it
He
up.
filled up to his fence, he's filled up higher onto his fence.
Oh, that is the grading.
Yeah,
We're related to the grading. So it appears that his engineer had a response to that. That he does not believe that, he believes that the grades are exactly the same.
I had a question on that one too. If it's gonna be the same, they got the okay from the building department for retaining wall. I believe that's a footing right there for the retaining wall,
There's what?
Footing,
a
basically.
footing for the retaining wall.
Okay.
And that would actually bring the elevation up. What kind of a retaining wall? Are we talking actual
We-
stone or?
He's actually deciding that the plan was approved. I don't have the plan in front of me. It was approved by this commission, but he approached me that he's planning on actually just doing rocks.
That must be the rocks I have
Yeah.
the picture right here.
Right.
Yeah, so that he would be utilize the same rocks.
Is it gonna be stabilized freestand or a wood mortar?
He has not, I told him if that's the plan, he has to communicate because that's not what was approved on the plan. As long as it still is the same limit of work and the same footprint,
That would.
it shouldn't be a concern.
It'd probably help to know how tall he's going, because that would bring up the elevation a lot.
So he has to follow the approved plan.
Mhm.
And according to his engineer, that's what he's planning on doing. It's just he's in the process of doing so, so he cannot verify where the elevation is at that time, at this time, right there on the wall, because he hasn't finalized yet. But
where's the drainage gonna end up with this pipe?
Same place. It has not been removed. He's just gonna go around it and have the stormwater drainage discharging
That color's on top.
through his wall. Make
Yeah, so they
sense?
mentioned, yeah, adding maybe some crushed stone in there, this,
Yes.
for the
Yeah,
block.
road, it's on
Sure,
top of
yeah.
it, yeah. On top of it.
That-
Any other questions?
Yeah, is this, I can't tell from the picture, I know when I see from, like, is this fence supposed to keep going? I know it's frozen now, they can't do jack, but
It's supposed to be going where? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure.
is it supposed to be, is that a siltation fence? You got a picture there?
It's like,
The silt fence?
That's still fence, or is it a dock?
No, this is the exiting of the
he cut
drainage
it.
pipe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never
Cut
mind.
the
Yeah.
pipe.
So
I
that's
know,
the
it's
fill
right.
fence, but they
Yep.
Yeah,
it's like you
pipe
caught
further
that
down.
sand that was between the retaining wall and all
they-
that, correct?
that's what I thought anyway.
Say it again.
So there's the lake, obviously.
Yeah.
There's the fence.
Yeah.
And here's the retaining wall. I'm assuming this sand, they just pushed it down into the beach.
So actually, in the front of there is still the
wasn't that
remaining
on
rocks
both their
that he,
land, or
so once the wall is built up,
strip of
this will
land?
be removed.
He said he
Gotcha.
gave that land or
He's keeping
something
there,
to
and
the
he
town.
he
to
might
build
have
a
to
pipe.
keep
easement.
him
There
there
was an
because he might
easement,
not
but
be able
they-
to
he re-
finish the
he-
retaining wall before the
Went to the
drawdown.
town and took
So
the
that's what's
easement
gonna
away.
keep
You mean the
his,
refill?
yeah,
Oh, so there's no longer
his
an
land from
easement,
being flooded.
but the pipe
So-
still was there.
And then he's
but
just gonna
cut.
put the rocks over it, and then we'll remove
And
it.
as far as what I was
Just the way the boats go.
informed, the
Well,
way I read
concerned
it,
is
Yeah.
the waves.
Right,
that
yeah,
on the fence, the fence is
Jack
filled
it
up.
And you look at the call.
right.
This piece of property right here
That's all.
Any other
was
questions?
lower, and the
Sure.
fence was lower.
They're talking.
And supposedly, he owns like a
No,
foot
the
or two
ground's
after,
frozen, so there's
outside
not
the
much
Yeah,
you can
fence.
do
there's
with the
not
water.
much.
It got
Right.
filled in.
So he passed the time.
I
I
remember seeing
explained
the
that
picture.
the level is.
Right, I
going
just
up.
worry about the stabilization.
Difference
Just
up
go
against
a while.
the chain link fence.
Yeah,
You could see
exactly,
it.
yeah.
Right.
I'm worried about the stabilization.
Well, if he does
A lot
not
of-
complete, once the
a lot of
water
space between
level is
property,
back
between
to its
buildings
normal
even.
level, then he'll have to stop construction, stabilize everything.
Right.
Correct. because he won't be going back to the wall into the next drawdown.
Right.
Right, so we're waiting to see if he'll be able to finalize the project prior of the water level going back to normal. If he does, then that's the end of it. He'll continue construction. If not, then he'll have to stabilize everything until the next, winter.
What about the pipe that got cut?
It has been put back to its existing condition by,
Public Works.
DPW.
Are we all set?
Yeah, if you're
I
satisfied
need
with
a
the
motion to
result.
adjourn then.
Oh, before our next.
Oh, here we go now. With the-
Our next meeting, it will be in our office, February 26th. This room was booked for a different meeting, so we'll be meeting in our office next time. That's it?
You need anything signed? You always need something signed.
Yes, we do.
The minutes.
So all of these have been continued to 26.
I'm sorry?
This all been continued to 26 and all these other, on some page.
Well, I'm sorry, Ron, what was the question?
I said the next meeting's the 26th.
Correct. Yep, sorry, yes. I'll pass around all the signatures for the, certificate of compliance and the order conditions that we just closed. You can ask Tom, would you like to adjourn? Would you like to adjourn or sign?
I already did make a motion
Oh.
to adjourn.
Did we have a motion?
Motion adjourned.
Thank you.
Second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.